Hello, friends of human spaceflight, and welcome to another week in review as we look into the space industry and notable launch activities from around the world. Coming up, Elon Musk once said, "You can't sue your way to the moon, no matter how good your lawyers are." So, after wasting money and effort 2 years ago, Blue Origin is back. We saw the second commercial mission depart to the International Space Station with Axiom Space. Who is on board, and what are they up to on their journey? ULA has a shiny new rocket at the pad ahead of further testing. When will it be ready to fly? A 747 used to launch rockets, a unique buying opportunity. Do we have any opening bids? There sure were, and more. But what does this now mean for Virgin Orbit? So with that, please proceed to Gate 69. Your flight is now boarding. Let's go! Space technology is rocket science. That's an axiom, isn't it? But it's not really what Axiom Space is about. Compared to other companies developing different space applications, Axiom Space surprisingly doesn't develop rockets. Riding the waking waves of the new space era, they are focusing on the commercial business. The company was founded back in 2016, and something else to note, the Iranian-born American businessman Kam Ghaffarian, one of the two founders of Axiom, also founded Intuitive Machines with two others in 2013. Intuitive Machines aims to offer commercial services in the form of sending payloads to the lunar surface. The first rumblings of Axiom Space first began when they announced the Axiom Station, the very first commercial space station planned back in 2020. Attached to the International Space Station, Axiom Station will be built gradually, module by module, starting with its first module in 2025. An ambitious plan backed by ex-NASA astronauts and experts, and a very good working relationship with NASA. However, we don't have to wait until 2025 to see an Axiom mission flying. Axiom Mission 1, or AX-1 for short, was launched on top of a Falcon 9 rocket in 2022. The Crew Dragon carried the 4 members of the very first all-commercial crew to the ISS for a 17-day-long stay in orbit. Playing on the International Space Station, the AX-1 team is also quite international, with nationalities ranging from the US, Spain, Israel, and Canada. AX-1 was a total success. The crew conducted 25 experiments in total, and the mission was operated from Axiom's own mission center, the MCCA in Houston. Axiom Mission 2 is an ongoing operation, with SpaceX's Freedom Dragon spaceship having launched on the 21st of May. The Falcon 9 did its job flawlessly, then returned to the launch site and landed. Here's another axiom for you. After more than 200 launches, the launches of these Falcons are perfect. Aboard Crew Dragon Freedom, the 4 crew members are Peggy Whitson as commander, a super experienced ex-NASA astronaut with the current running total of 665 days in space, holding the record among American women. John Schaffner as pilot, American racing driver and investor. Ali Al-Karni as mission specialist from Saudi Arabia, a captain of the Royal Saudi Air Force flying F-15s with over 2,000 logged hours of flight, and Rayana Barnawi as mission specialist from Saudi Arabia. She is a biomedical researcher with 9 years of experience of studying cancer stem cells. She is the first female Arab astronaut. So again, an international team, excellent people.
This is the way.
This crew will conduct extensive scientific research investigating elements of biomanufacturing in microgravity and making technology demonstrations during the planned 12 days. Whilst we won't list all 20 experiments that they will be conducting during their stay, there's a link below in the description if you'd like to read more about it, here's a few interesting ones that we picked out. DNA, mRNA, stem cells, and cancer-related medical studies. Cloud seeding experiment. This one is the modern equivalent of the rain dances. Investigating a new hydrogen-rich polymer material for potential shielding against cosmic radiation. A fair few educational programs for kids and students in STEM. Axiom Space's new communication system demo to let the astronauts use mobile devices on the space station. A demonstration of MIT's newly developed gravity loading countermeasure skin suit, which simulates some effects of the Earth's gravity, thus helping the astronauts to remain healthier in a microgravity environment. All in all, very interesting days ahead for the astronauts. Full of work, but hopefully they'll have ample opportunity to watch our beautiful planet from the Cupola module too. As part of humanity's return to the lunar surface in over half a century, NASA needs many hardware components to fill various roles from spacesuits to spacecraft. With the Artemis program underway, we saw many memorable images last year as the Orion capsule traveled out beyond the moon and eventually splashed down safely back on Earth. With the target year of 2026 in their sights, NASA has been focused on other parts of this puzzle, with Gateway set to eventually orbit the moon and SpaceX Starship to be used to ferry astronauts to the lunar surface and back again for the Artemis 3 and 4 missions. At the time, NASA saw a lunar lander option. Blue Origin bid for the first lunar lander contract but lost out to SpaceX with their Starship variant of the Human Landing System, or the HLS. Of course, lawsuits followed, but to no avail. Ironically, after all that expense, the passage of time has seen NASA provided with additional funding to select a second lunar landing option. During an event at NASA HQ on May 19th, NASA Administrator Bill Nelson announced Blue Origin had been selected to provide the second lander option to operate from the Gateway outpost, as part of a demonstration landing during the Artemis 5 mission around 6 years from now. An uncrewed demo flight should take place prior to this in 2028. It's a contract worth some $3.4 billion, working with other partners to develop the spacecraft dubbed Blue Moon, now a revised version of their offering that has been in development since 2019. Standing some 16 meters tall, it will be able to fit inside the 7-meter payload fairing, atop the as-yet-to-be unveiled New Glenn heavy lift rocket. With Blue Origin touting they will fund half the vehicle development costs, they've also been busy refining zero boil-off technologies. The goal is to be able to store hydrogen and other propellants with the spin-off of enabling resource extraction from the lunar surface. Just part of the reason why they are also continuing development of a cargo version of Blue Moon, capable of taking equipment with a mass of 20 metric tons to the surface while still being able to make the return trip to Gateway. So once this is all done, after Artemis 5, it will be a bidding competition between SpaceX and Blue Origin for now, until other providers pop up for ongoing missions in support of the Artemis program and a sustained human presence in lunar orbit and on the surface. Well, it's official. Virgin Orbit has ceased operations and is no more. Winning bids at the recent bankruptcy auction from 3 aerospace companies has made sure of that. Rocket Lab is set to take over the lease of the Long Beach, California production facility at a cost of some $16 million. That, of course, includes plant and equipment. Launcher will lease a test site in California that includes plant, equipment, and inventory items. They will continue development of their E2 engine. Okay, I know. What about the jumbo jet dubbed Cosmic Girl, Sam? Well, Stratolaunch made a bid of $17 million, which was accepted. An interesting side note here. The day prior to auction, Cosmic Girl went on a 5-hour mystery flight heading up the coast to Seattle before heading back. It was the fact that the jet flew a pattern like it would for a launch doing the racetrack, pulling up and returning. At this stage, no one knows why this was done. You may recall in a previous episode here that there were some staff retained to keep working on a rocket that looked like it might be launched mid all the Chapter 11 business. It is these assets that will not be sold off, deemed not in the best interests of the company at this stage. There are several such launch vehicles in different states of build progress that will be retained. So this takes Virgin Orbit out of Chapter 11 bankruptcy status now and into the history books. Question now is, will there be a company brave enough to attempt an air launch offering to customers in the wake of the collapse of Virgin Orbit? I guess time will tell. Just a quick mention here on United Launch Alliance and their shiny new Vulcan launch vehicle. Well, the Certification 1 version of it. Seen here back at Space Launch Complex 41 at Cape Canaveral Space Force Station on May 22nd. It is here they will soon attempt a static fire of the core stage's 2 BE-4 main engines built by Blue Origin. This event should be the final major test milestone to be cleared, ahead of a potential inaugural launch sometime this year. Coupled with higher performance and even greater reliability, Adding to ULA's already rock-solid reputation, Vulcan is purpose-built to meet national security requirements. Just on this point, time is pressing here now as ULA has a launch for the US Space Force in the near future, and a caveat to this is ULA must have completed 2 successful launches with this new vehicle. Failure here is not an option. They have to get off the ground and real soon. The BE-4 engines are designed and built to be reusable, particularly for their New Glenn rocket, which will use 7 BE-4 engines. For ULA and their Vulcan core stage, the 2 engines will have an output of 550,000 pounds of thrust each, using an oxygen-rich stage combustion cycle with liquid oxygen and very cost-effective and clean-burning liquid natural gas propellant. Clean burning is particularly critical for reusability. If you'd like to hear more about Vulcan, head on over to the Angry Astronauts channel on YouTube, and you can see his latest video that he's just dropped. Wishing you good luck, ULA, and hoping all goes well here with testing. So watch this space, folks, there's more to come. If you recall, in a previous episode, we spoke about iSpace's lunar lander, the Hakuto-R, and its descent to the moon. Of course, we knew already that all hadn't gone quite as well, but in recent days, the Lunar Reconnaissance Orbiter managed to capture a flyby over the top of the Hakuto-R landing site. The 2 images you are seeing are a before and after shot of the landing site. As you can see here, we notice a newly created debris field with 4 major points. It's always hard to see a mission end this way, but to iSpace, from myself and the whole team here at To The Future, please never give up the lunar quest. Well, that's it for now, with a nice hand-picked selection of other amazing news to share with you. We look forward to bringing you the latest developments in space news next week and some fun along the way. Thanks for watching, and remember, onwards to the future.